What's up everybody, welcome to Balkan Moto. Today we're starting a new project. Let's check it out. For those of you that have been following the channel, you know that most of my projects have been cruisers and of course the cafe racer that I did. I haven't really delved into anything else. But since last year I actually started doing some more research and I wanted to get into something a little bit different. And for the purposes of that I needed a new motorcycle. So without further ado, this is my new motorcycle. A 2025 Yamaha Tenere 700, and the plan is to start doing some adventure riding with it. The bike is quite literally brand new. I think I've only done about 200 kilometers with it. So let's talk about why the Tenere 700. Alright, so why did I buy the Tenere 700 over any of the competitor bikes? Let's go through kind of all of them that I looked into and discuss why. So by far the closest rival that I had entertained in buying was the Suzuki V-Strom 800DE, or even its more road biased RE version. Now with that bike, the biggest factor that kind of deterred me from getting it is I knew I wanted to get an adventure bike that can get me to do a little bit more off-road, so that I'm not just avoiding gravel roads altogether, and potentially get into like even some more technical stuff into two-track and single-track even. And the V-Strom, while it's a great bike and certainly has some a great motor in it and some great characteristics, it's significantly heavier. The Tenere came in at 207 kilos and the V-Strom is 230 kilos. So it's, no matter how I looked and tried to argument it, there wasn't any way I was going to be able to strip 20 something kilos off that bike to make it as light as this one. Yes, reviewers have said that this one carries its weight up high and at times it feels even heavier and less confidence inspiring off-road than the V-Strom, but in my opinion it's better. The other big thing was that no matter how much I tried, and I honestly did try, I could not convince myself that the V-Strom was a good looking bike. This on the other hand I actually like a lot. So the V-Strom kind of dropped off the list. Then the next rival is the Honda Transalp. There's been a ton of reviews about the Transalp and how its suspension is kind of mediocre but quite good for an everyday bike. The redesigned Tenere, especially I think the 2024 model had some of this, but the 2025 definitely does have a brand new suspension on it that is fully adjustable. The Transalp doesn't. So I knew that I wanted to configure the suspension for my purposes and be able to adjust it depending on the terrain I ride on. So the Transalp kind of, again, dropped off the list, becoming not something that would fit my needs. It was the Aprilia Touareg 660. Great bike, phenomenal engine, good suspension, but ultimately came in at a higher price point than the Tenere, and potentially had some reliability issues, where the Tenere, and specifically the CP2 engine, has been largely considered one of the most reliable motors in motorcycling history. So that was again kind of a no-brainer there. Ducati Desert X, more from the Italian makers. Great bike, great pedaling characteristics, looks great, but the price tag was just almost double the cost of this, at least here in Canada. So that wasn't gonna fly with me, and The other thing was, again, kind of like with the Aprilia, reliability issues. So I wanted something that is not going to leave me stranded. Not that a brand new bike would ever leave you stranded. You're more than likely perfectly fine, but yeah, again, price tag here. Then there is the Chinese manufacturers, and more specifically CF Moto. Their 800 MT model, it was actually a pretty good offering. This year they launched actually the 800 MTX, which was even better off-road. We haven't gotten it here in Canada just yet. I think we only have the 450 MT. Yeah, the 800 MT price is great. What it comes with, it's like just no competition. It's loaded with every possible electronic on it and everything else. It's got saddlebags, it's got everything. But it's a Chinese bike with unknown or unproven reliability. So that kind of was a little bit of a factor. Similar to the V-Strom also, it was very heavy. So it was a no-go for me. The CF Moto F450 MT on the other hand, largely reviewed by motor journalists as one of the greatest bikes in the last few years. The problem I had with it, even though it's phenomenal with handling, especially off-road, is that I intend on doing adventure riding where it's mostly 50-50, if not maybe 60-40 on road and 40 on off-road. So that would mean riding country roads, riding highways, and the 450 just didn't have the oomph to make that a pleasant experience. So both the CF Motos were just not options. And the last kind of category of bikes that I considered was kind of the KTM's, GasGas, and the Husqvarna. Almost all of them kind of fell within the shit show that is KTM's situation right now, or pricing. So most of the comparable KTMs, so like the 790 Adventure or the 890 Adventure are, as well as the Husqvarna 901 Norden, were way more expensive. So again, not really comparable here. So it was the Tenere. Why did I buy the 2025, given that I could have saved some money and bought previous year models? Well, for the 2025 year model, they actually did a lot of upgrades that for the extra money that you're paying, it made sense. So like I mentioned already, the suspension. I could have gotten a 2024 model and I could have done the usual upgrades one would do. So new springs, maybe new valves, maybe even full cartridge, and kind of come up to the same price point as a brand new 2025 with maybe slightly better off-road performance. Now, I'm not a off-road expert. In fact, this is the first bike I've ever ridden off-road. So buying the 2025 model that had the revised suspension that is significantly better than the previous year base model seemed like enough, and it has full adjustability, so I can certainly play around with it to get it to a point where it's good enough for me. Should I ever run into like, okay, this is not enough, I need more performance out of the suspension, I'll think about that later. But at least as a base package, the extra $300 on top for a brand new bike versus the 2024 model was absolutely worth it. The second big factor here, and this is probably the controversial one, the old Tenere up to 2024 had regular cable throttle. The 2025 model switches over to throttle by wire. In the past, I have ridden the MT-07 that has the same motor, and I found the throttle on that bike to be very much on or off. With the new throttle by wire and the rider mode, so the Explorer and Performance or Sport, whatever it is, I found that the fueling on the bike, especially off idle, is way better. So for everyday riding, like into work and stuff, this is just like night and day compared to like what the previous model would have been. Now, that being said, for off-road where you need more aggressive throttle response, the sport mode is perfectly fine. It's quick, it's fresh. Having the added benefit of traction control for on-road riding is actually great as well. That's a nice added safety feature that the previous year models wouldn't have had. So yeah, throttle by wire, big plus for me. The other thing that they updated on the 2025 model was the seat. I ended up going and sitting down on a 2024 model, and honestly, my legs were like cramping up just sitting on the bike or getting on it. With the new seat design, it's a little bit narrower and actually makes the bike a lot more manageable and a lot more comfortable. If I had bought a 2024 model, one of the first things I would have changed was bought an aftermarket seat. And this, now that I've ridden it for about 200 kilometers, I honestly don't think I need an aftermarket seat. I think the stock one is perfectly fine. And then the last kind of three things that convinced me to buy a 2025 model that are fairly minor. The dashboard is updated on the 2025 model. So I knew I don't want like the pre-2023 model, I think, versions with the LCD grayscale dash. The 2024 model with its LCD display was actually, or LED display, whatever it was, wasn't bad. But the 2025 model, it's significantly improved. The new theme of the user interface is actually a lot better. I actually prefer the street one versus the adventure one. Yeah, so the dashboard, great thing. And then along with that, I think came a whole bunch of new connectivity features that I haven't tried out yet. To kind of connect your phone and all that other fun stuff. The other thing that they added on the bike is on the right side, they put in a USB-C plug, which greatly simplifies plugging anything and charging it into the bike. So phone, whatever else. And finally, they revised how the ABS button works. So I knew that if I got a 2024 model, I probably would have had to buy one of those additional electronic components, whatever they are, that kind of remembers the ABS settings on the bike. But now that they've actually hooked up that button to do what it was supposed to do, where it can turn on or off the ABS settings, that's like perfect. It works great. So that really sums it up. I mean, like, given all those things, it was just, the decision was more or less made for me. Like, it was going to be the 2025 model. Now, this being my first adventure bike, I did notice a few things with riding it that I hadn't ever experienced with other bikes. That, well, one requires some adjustment, but also could potentially be tweaked to make them better. The first of which is kind of, there's no hiding it, it's the height. The 885 or 880 millimeter seat height is pretty tall. And I mean, to show you, I'm 5'10" or 178 centimeters. I tippy toe on the bike when I'm on it. So I'm obviously in my shoes, not in boots, but you can see that's not exactly easy to do. Like, I find myself at lights, I have to like slightly lean the bike and step like this or shift my weight off the seat in order to fully balance. So that's certainly going to take an adjustment. Taking it off-road, that definitely affects confidence, and you constantly feel like you're going to drop the bike, especially in low speed maneuvers. So either way, I knew that was, like, out of all the bikes that I compared, this was one of the ones with probably the highest seat height. So this was kind of expected. The other kind of funky thing that I ran into, with all my other bikes, they never had wind protection. Or if they did, I always removed it. Mostly because I genuinely enjoy the wind hitting my chest and kind of my whole body. It also acted as a bit of a safety thing, because as the speed picked up, so did the wind. So I kind of had almost an internal gauge of I'm going too fast. Now with this bike, because it's more of an adventure bike and it's supposed to protect you from the elements a little bit better, which is great plus, most of the wind actually goes right over the windshield and kind of hits me above the shoulder level. So it hits me right in the helmet. Now this has manifested two problems. One, all the gear that I currently own for riding is way too hot to ride in on this bike on a hot summer day. My helmet doesn't have enough vents on it to cool down my head. The leather jacket that I have, because no wind is actually hitting it now, I actually boil inside. And my leather gloves are, again, way too warm because of the hand guards protecting me from the wind. The second thing is that because the wind is not hitting me and I don't have that wind speed check, I am constantly speeding on this bike. It's very easy to just get up to 100, 110 and like without paying attention be way over the speed limit on country roads. So it's just something that I'll have to adjust to. I've already started to purchase some better suited gear for riding this type of bike. The next thing that I ran into that is very specific to this bike, and people have complained about on previous year models as well, that happens to carry over to this year, is if the bike is on, like the motor is on, and you put it in neutral, you can't wheel the bike around. You have to squeeze in the clutch. Now, that's not much of a problem if you're just in the garage kind of doing things. But when you're riding off-road and you're getting stuck or you're trying to do a U-turn and the motor is on, to pull and push the bike around, you have to have your hand on the clutch, which is not exactly what you want. So it's just something that I'll have to adjust to. The obvious solution is that when you're riding in situations like that, you just turn the bike off, put it in neutral, and then you can just wheel it about however you want. The next thing, which was I think a big problem on the previous year models, and they even had, I think Camo ADV had a fix pedal for it, it is the rear brake. So the brake works fine, like it will stop the bike. However, the feel on it is very, very soft. Like this doesn't give you much of anything. When even with like I don't currently ride with like ADV boots or motocross boots. I ride with just regular Alpine Star motorcycle boots, and it feels very mushy. Now I've noticed that if you have the rear ABS on, it's worse on the street. If you turn it off, you do get a little bit more feel in the pedal, but all in all, it's very, very soft. So I do plan on doing some adjustments, maybe raising the pedal. I'm going to screen this a little bit just to raise the pedal a bit so that as I stomp on it, I'm more in the braking range, so I get a little bit more feel out of it. Because right now it's a little silly how it is. I'm almost at the point where like I just bypass using the rear brake altogether, which is obviously not safe. And the last thing, which I am yet to confirm, I've seen a lot of talks online about the 2025 year model and how there is a bit of a software glitch, in particular with the mileage or fuel economy estimate the bike spits out. A lot of people are saying that it just counts down to like incredible efficiency. Mine has been getting lower, but I've yet to see it go down to like 1 liter per 100 kilometers. So that's just something I'm monitoring, and we'll see how that plays out. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now, in this video, I'm not just going to talk. Let's actually set up the bike for me specifically. There's a list of things that I want to do that make it more better for me. So let's check that out. Okay, so the first adjustment that I want to make is the clutch lever. So the clutch lever right now, and the clutch, the way it's set up, the friction point is literally right here. So engaging the clutch is nice, but when you're trying to like ease into a gear, it's like nothing, and then boom, all of it. So I want to loosen up the adjustment here to create more slack in this, so that this can come a little bit closer, because the way my hand is, that friction point ends up being like almost like completely at like the full open palm position for me. Not a huge problem, I can get used to it, but there's been times where I'm very jerky on the bike, trying to like shift down or shift up, or start from a stop. So that's the first adjustment. All right, so I adjusted it. I essentially screwed this in pretty much all the way. So now we have a whole bunch more slack, so that actually the friction point is like nicely in the middle of the whole thing. So that should be significantly better. Let's take a look at the next item. Next is the other control, the front brake. The front brake is actually not bad. Like, it is adjustable. We have, I think it's on, out of 5 settings, and it's on the 4th one. Let's see what the 5th one is like. Closer? Like, what's 1 like? Well, that's further. Yeah, so I think 4 was actually good enough for me. Like, I feel that's I can brake with 2 fingers like this. So that's perfect, the way it was. So I'll leave that. Next, let's take a look at this rear pedal. So right now, what I want to do, so there is a bit of adjustment, as you can see. So let's extend this lever here, so that this will push down and this would lift up, so that it will be a little, like when I get it back down to this position, it's already in the spot where I want it. Alright, so I adjusted the pedal, it's more upright now, so I should be able to get more braking power. Oh yeah, that's way more responsive. It is a little higher, so I have to flex my leg a little more, but definitely a lot better. Okay. The lovely Tenere comes with this massive headlight with a nice piece of plexiglass that's quite vulnerable, especially if you want to ride off-road. So I bought a plexiglass protector, headlight protector, guard, whatever you want to call it, for it. So let's get that installed. It's just literally taking off these 4 bolts, putting the other one on. I'm going to wipe this down before I do that. Yeah, let's take a look at what it looks like. Alright, so this is the protector I bought. This is off AliExpress, and it cost me 18 bucks. For something that's far less protective, Yamaha wanted 230 bucks. So sometimes it pays off to do some shopping around. Alright, here it is with the headlight guard. It looks seamless. It's as if though the bike came that way. And honestly, it's nice and thick. As you can see, it's as thick as the actual windshield. And it gives a nice little gap there in between. So if I need to clean it, I can clean it. Nice little added touch with saying Tenere on there, but could have done without it as well. So very happy with that. Really good purchase. Next, let's move the quad lock from here onto here somewhere. Quad lock's installed, and now if I can only get it lined up, boom, like so, so that when I do get on the bike, from my point of view, it kind of comes up right below the dash, Could it be a little more centered? Yes, but the arm on the quad lock is not long enough. So this will have to do. Slightly offset, but it's not the end of the world. I actually like it. This is what it would look like with the dash on and the, let's say, maps on. All right, bike is more or less set up for me right now. I still need to do the suspension, but I'm gonna do that in a separate episode. We gotta set the static sack front and back, and then set the rebound and compression dampening front and back as well, which will probably require some trial and error and some testing. Maybe we'll go a little bit off-road over here. Yeah, in the coming episodes, we're going to be doing some more modifications to the bike. Right now, the aftermarket for the 2025 Moto is a little bit of a standstill. All the parts, because Yamaha changed some of the plastics, all the protective parts like crash bars, skid plates, and whatnot don't exactly fit. So those will probably be delayed a little bit. But what I do plan on doing with this bike is prepping it fully for long distance adventuring. So having crash bars, better skid plate, racks for the back and for the sides with maybe some protective metal here to protect some of these white plastics, which are, I don't know why they made them white. Better hand guards, because these ones are, as kind of everyone has mentioned, they're more for wind than anything else. I already dropped the bike once in soft sand and they got scuffed up quite a bit. So they're very soft plastic. Yeah, more to come. And yeah, this will be it for this episode. So make sure to subscribe, hit the little bells for notification when new videos become available, and follow the progress on, as I've decided to call it, Azzurro Burro, or the Blue Donkey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.